Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's presentation. I'm a couple of minutes late. Busy morning, as always. Let's see. Yeah, this time we're doing it earlier morning, and I know it's tougher for most people to join earlier. So we'll swap out. I think next time we'll do late, but yeah, this time we decided to do earlier. I know some people are still joining. We'll start in a couple minutes. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Poltan. I'm the founder of Loocey. And in today's presentation, we will be covering how Loocey can help you scale your company. And I know some of you are existing or have used Loocey before, so that's great. I see Erwin on the call. Thanks for joining, Erwin. John Raid. And I see some new names. Thank you all again for joining. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Let me just get my presentation up. By the way, you can hear me, yes? Everyone can hear me? And we type in the chat if you can.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool, great. Okay, I think we're gonna get started. So let me just bring this up. I'll share my screen. So for those of you who are new to Loocey, I'm gonna give you a quick introduction. So Loocey, is basically we have a module for DLA, but Loocey's story began with creating a platform for businesses to better manage their processes. So it's really great project management tool, as well as we're building a lot of other modules like CRM and other things. Now the DLA module sits on top of Loocey's core platform, which then gives you a lot of extra features that you'll probably never get anywhere else, because you're getting really advanced functionality with basically minimum effort. Now, our goal with DLA module is to 10x your productivity. We always say this, and I think we don't just say it, we mean it by providing you with a lot of automations, right? And I think, every step we take in this journey is, we work with large companies, small companies, and every company has their ways of doing things. So we are making platform really flexible, at the same time giving you a lot of features depending on what you need in your current state of business. That's what you will use. But again, our goal is to 10x your productivity. And we always say, if it's not gonna 10x your productivity, don't buy Loocey, don't use Loocey, right? We strongly believe that we're creating these features that's like an all-in-one platform that's minimizing a lot of stuff, including data entry, and we're creating all kinds of automations. And as I always say, Loocey is constantly evolving system, right? If you had a chance to join early, we're still early, right? You get the best pricing, and I know some users, even I see on the call, have gotten even better pricing. Unfortunately, those prices don't exist anymore. And prices will probably drastically go up within this year, because we're releasing and investing a lot in the platform, right? We have team of developers working on this, and our goal, like I said, is to do a lot more and basically to help you 10x. That's our goal. Doesn't matter what scale you are. So let's get started. Any questions before we start? Okay. So what is today's agenda? Some of it we're gonna cover. I know we have some new users, so we're gonna cover some of the basics, and I know we have some existing users. We'll definitely get to showing you some of the new features we released this month, and we had a couple of major modules coming up. Unfortunately, they did not make this meeting, but they're coming. They'll be this month. We'll go over it anyway. So what is so let's go over the agenda. So DLA is the business model. Why people give up on DLA. I'm gonna kind of go fast on these. I know I'll probably do a couple of polls to see where everyone is with the business, but I'm gonna assume most of you know some of the basics with DLA. So we'll go through the standard way, manual way to do things in DLA versus Loocey, and we'll show you how Loocey helps you with different features or different kind of steps in the process. And again, like I said, our goal is to 10x your productivity. There's a bonus at the end. If you want to stay to the end, there will be a bonus pricing. But only for those who stay at the end. That part will not be in the recording, so just heads up. And we'll cover new features. I'll answer any questions you have. Okay. So quick survey. I want to understand where everyone is in the business. So if you don't mind some of these, just write in chat. Do you have a cage code? Have you registered in DIBBS? Where does everyone stand? I know Erwin was just trying to set up the business. Erwin, did you get everything done? Waiting for the postgrad. Great. Okay. John is all set up. Good. I know Don has. So some of these I want to be interactive session, guys. Please use the chat. Give me your answers so we can keep it more interesting. How many bids have you done so far this month? Who can tell me? How many? If you have account in DIBBS, how many bids have you done this month or this week for this month? Okay. John says 4 this month. Anyone else? Quite early morning today. Okay. How many did you win? Has anyone won recent awards recently? 0. Okay. Erwin says 4 with my old company. Nice. Good job, Erwin. Yeah, and Erwin was using Loocey in the old company. And Erwin, did Loocey help you with winning those 4 contracts? Yes. Okay. Good. We'll go over it. And I know today, I think we have 9 people. We usually have larger audience. I think early morning, it seems like not that people can join, but made much faster. Thank you, Irene. Thank you. We are gonna today. Just someone was asking if you have references, and I was like, we haven't had the time to go back out to our users and get testimonials. We are building a new version of the website that's gonna have all that. So we will go back to our users and get these testimonials. But yes, we are a new company, but we're gonna crush everyone out there. Sorry for those who are competing with us, but we'll see. What is the goal for the year? How many wins do you want to do? Anyone has a goal for the year? How many wins? How many awards do you want to get done this year? I'm gonna start picking on names. Don, how's it going? Do you have any goals this year? You're mute. Brandon? $4,000 profit. Nice. Okay. So let's move on. I think I want to kind of quickly go over the basics, and then we'll get to questions and demos. Most challenging is vendors replacing W2 is the goal. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, the economy is really scary place now. I think everyone is kind of a lot of uncertainty anyway. All the China tariff war going on. So we'll see what's going on. But at a minimum, if you are, I think, in DLA, hopefully it will not affect you because most of the time DLA buys USA made products. So if you get started, I think it'll definitely help. My goal is to make 2K per week. Okay, thanks, Don. Hopefully we'll get there for everyone. So let's why DLA? We'll cover some of the basics. So DLA does 50+ billion a year in purchases. So it's a big marketplace. You definitely, if you're just starting out, there's enough room for everyone. I had a question sometimes. I had once a question. Someone asked me on a demo call if if I start using Loocey, if everyone starts using Loocey, will there be too much competition? And my answer is no, because it's such a big marketplace. There's enough room. I'm sure by the time we have everyone in Loocey, maybe, but it's a big marketplace, so you can still, I think, make a lot of money in it. So it is the largest product supplier government marketplace. I haven't seen anything that's even close to DLA, right? There's like some other Navy ones or some .gov products, but usually, no one does the volume that DLA does. They list 1,000 to 2,000 contracts or solicitations per day. It's a big volume, right? So no one even comes close. That's why we want to focus on DLA. It is a beginner starter friendly. What do I mean by this? Most of other government contracts require you to have past performance, all kinds of things, not DLA. DLA has simple, what I call them simple contracts. We'll see that in Loocey as well. Yes, of course, some contracts will require certain certifications and so on, but there's still plenty that are beginner friendly that you can bid as long as you have a good pricing. You have a good chance to win them, right? So they don't force you to have past performance, which is a great thing for government contracting, because most of the time they do require past performance. So let me cover some of the basics on DLA, how it works usually, right? Not everyone does this, but the usual kind of process in terms of the supplier, not the manufacturer part, right? So what's the process? Finding, qualifying contracts or solicitations. So I changed the word. Someone corrected me one day. It was like, oh, it's not a contract, it's a solicitation. That is correct. So it's a solicitation until you win it, then it becomes a contract, right? So finding qualifying solicitations is definitely a time suck, I want to say, because you gotta look at many fields to understand if it's something you can bid on, right? And then finding suppliers is also another difficult part. When you're getting started, you don't have all those connections, so that's also the part of the process. And then what is the next step? Requesting quotes from those suppliers, right? Based on the available, open solicitations. Once the supplier gets back to you with the code that they give you, right? You research prior awards to understand the pricing, if the supplier gave you good pricing or not, right? And finally, you get to the bid calculation to understand, after you add your margin and other expenses, what's going to be your profit. This is a key point on number 5. I see a lot of people make mistake of under bidding and they lose money. So you gotta be careful. You have to do your bid calculation, right? You have to know what your margins are, what your expenses are, so you can see what your profit is. So just winning an award is not the end of the story, right? If you're gonna win and at the end lose money, that's not helping anyone. And finally, the 6th step is placing the actual bid in DIBBS, and then tracking your bids, right? What happens with the bid? Did you win? Did you lose? Why did you lose? Right? And then the whole thing is repeating this 100 times a month, 1,000 times a month. I had once a customer who was bidding like 4,000 contracts a month. 4,000, no kidding. So it is possible. But if you can get to 100 per day, I think Loocey again is going to help you with all this. Doing it manually never possible. So don't even try. That's where you're gonna get burned, and we'll talk about that in a second if you do it too much manual process, right? So the challenge is, like I was saying, burnout, because a lot of people get excited, they get started, they think it's easy, right? It's simple process. Get the parts cheaper, sell it back to government, make money, right? The whole process seems really easy, and you start doing it after, and then after you spend quite a bit of time manually going through PDF contracts, and at the end of the day, you go like, oh, I've only done like one or two, and then so it's gets really hard to do all this whole thing manually, which is why I think if you are starting in this business or you are in the business, Loocey will help you scale, will help you automate a lot of the tedious tasks, right? So how to quickly find contracts that fit your needs, low margins and mistakes. Some of the other challenges with this business, and we'll kind of try to cover some of those. It is low margin business because you're competing with other suppliers, and usually, you know, it's anywhere from 7 to 15%. And some people get lucky, get more, but the more you do, the more experience you have, the more connections you have with the manufacturers, the better pricing you'll get, right? That's kind of the game. Now, what are the solutions, right? So I've covered this before, but unicorn supplier, what is a unicorn supplier? A manufacturer or a distributor that gives you a good price that you can add margin and expenses on top of and still win. That's a unicorn supplier, right? That's the really challenging part with this business, of finding a good supplier or manufacturer that's going to give you a really good price. It's not impossible. A lot of people do it, so it's definitely possible. It just does take time. Becoming a manufacturer or an approved source. Before, I used to not cover this as much. I'm gonna give you a hint. We are building a module in Loocey for something called SAR package, and those of you who are in the business will know what that means. It's basically how you get approved to become the approved source in DLA. There's a big package. There's a lot of steps to kind of go through and create this package and documentation to send it over to them. Ideally, I want everyone to get to this stage. If you become the approved source, things get easier. Then you get better pricing from the manufacturers. Then it becomes, you kind of have a lot more leverage, right? Now we are building a module in Loocey that's coming up. Hopefully in a month or two, we'll have it so that it makes it a lot easier to manage the whole SAR package process. Again, I know not, you know, some of you may maybe just getting it started, so doesn't apply to you, but keep that in mind. And again, those of you who are existing or sign up to be users in Loocey, that package will come to you for free. That module, it's a whole different module, so you'll get that included. Those of you who wait to sign up, of course, new pricing will kick in, and that's going to be extra. So the last thing I want to point out is Loocey is meant to do high volume of bids. So it basically has all kinds of automations and tools for you to do a lot of bids. And that's kind of what we want everyone to do. Do more to scale, do more with less time, right? So we'll cover some of this: finding, qualifying, solicitations, finding suppliers, requesting quotes from the suppliers, researching prior awards to understand the pricing, bid calculation. I think we covered this. This is the process, right? So let's move on. So, initially Loocey is focused on high volume of bids, and that's kind of what our system has been built to be, the all-in-one tool for you to not only find stuff, but also to, make it easier to manage, do your bid calculations and manage the process. So I'm gonna see if there's any questions before we start. I'm gonna do a quick demo. Unfortunately, because of time, I'm not gonna go through the manual process. I'm sure a lot of you know the manual process. Manual process is finding stuff in DIBBS, usually, right? Which DIBBS, I mean, they only give you basically these few options to search by, and that's pretty much it. Some additional stuff. Now, this is Loocey. Any questions before we get to the demo about like the whole process? Any questions anyone has? And I know a lot of you kind of are not super new to DLA, so that's why I'm not spending too much time on the basics. Okay, so let's see how Loocey works. So Loocey is divided into two main sections. The top section is your CRM section. The bottom section is the research, the searching part. So when you start your day, you always start with the DLA RFQs. I log me out again. So those of you who are existing users or new users, we just released a new getting started video, and I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can today, but because of time constraints, I usually don't have enough time. But so there's this getting started video is a new video we just created. It's super intuitive and user-friendly video in terms of it just walks you through a lot of stuff. I highly recommend if you are new to Loocey, go watch this. It's basically, it's covering all the aspects. Not the video itself is not 100% done. I think it's like 70%. But because of, I wanted to kind of start, you know, I wanted to place it here so that you can start watching that, and then within I think a week or so we're gonna complete the video. But I didn't want to wait until it's done because I think 70-80% of the video is done, so it's gonna cover, it basically covers a lot of the stuff we go through today, but in more detail. But anyway, let's get started. So DLA RFQs. So we pull solicitations in on daily basis. There's gonna be a day or so lag time, but let's cover the basics, right? So we usually show the status, FSC code. We have a link that's gonna take you directly to DIBBS for that specific solicitation. You can check the latest status. Our status is are mostly up to date. Sometimes they're off, but with a quick check, you can click on the link and tell you that's gonna go over to DIBBS and show you the latest status. Now, we have some of the usual columns: FOB point, inspection point. I'm not going to spend too much time on the basics, but just know that when we get the data from DLA, it goes through machine processing. We extract out the flags off of the contracts, and it is an ongoing process. So we're never done. I think as we build more, we're gonna do more with the different flags. But let's kind of cover the basics. As I was explaining before, you can't bid on everything, right? Especially when you're just getting started. So you got to look at what you can bid. So some of the stuff that has more requirements, like tech docs or JCB certifications or ISO certifications, those are harder to win, and you have to have those to even qualify. We have other flags, like if it requires first article testing, if it requires production lot testing, or if it's a commercial off-the-shelf item, we'll also tell you that, right? Some of you want to focus on those. We have the no bid column. So DLA releases a no bid list. I forget every quarter or so. We import those into Loocey. So if you want to focus on the stuff that's got no bid, what no bid means is that no one has bid on those. So but of course, it's no bid at the time of the release. It doesn't mean after it's been released, it's gonna stay no bid, because some people, follow that list and then they'll kind of bid afterwards, right? It just means it was no bid at the time of that list was released. Now we have a couple of what I call smart columns. So AS bidding means approved source bidding. This is where I was telling you, if you become approved source, you have more leverage. But what this usually means, if an item has approved source who's also bidding in DLA, it becomes harder to win those. So with our machine, with our data crunching, we basically will tell you if this flag is checked, it means the approved source is bidding. Maybe you want to skip this specific solicitation, right? It's up to you, but we just tell you. The next one is we tell you if the same company has been winning the contract within the last 36 months. So if I were to click on NSN, by the way, if you haven't seen Loocey, if you click on NSN, this pop-up will come up and this will show you the approved sources with part numbers and so on. And usually we have the website, phone number, email usually as well as the approved source. And then if you look at the history, you'll see, hey, this company has been winning, right? Specific contract. That's what this flag is for. Some companies want to skip those, because if they've been winning for years, they probably have some kind of special sauce, special pricing, or maybe good relationship with the contract officer or something, right? So maybe it's hard to win those. So if you want to skip those, you can. Now, next columns over will tell you if something, how often DLA buys specific NSN product. So you can also use these columns for searching. So if year to date, basically this is like year to date quantity they bought versus total quantity versus last year's quantity. So some companies want to stock items or focus on items that DLA buys more often. This is a way to do it. You can search by those. I know I've promised some new features today. So those of you who are existing users, we have two new columns here: weight and cubic square footage. So we'll now tell you the size of the item. Why is this important? Because you might have to pay for shipping, and sometimes you have to pay for shipping twice, right? From manufacturer to your place, packaging place, and then if depending on which contract you have, maybe you also pay for shipping from your place to DLA. So you can also search by weight of the item going forward, as well as the cubic square footage, means what kind of the size and measurements, right, of the item. So those are two new columns for you. We also tell you the packaging style. Is it ASTM or military style? And we had a tool released. I think it's not being advertised as often, but those of you who are doing packaging, we have this packaging tool now where you can select military style packaging, click on packaging info. This is gonna break down the packaging and tell you, like, usually this is what you get in the contract, okay, which is really hard to understand. I know that. So we built the tool, and there was some online something to use but you have to like enter each of the codes for it to tell you. I forget the name of the website, but you also have to be careful with that site. With our searching, we found that their data might be out of date. So we use the latest version of the actual specification document of packaging to come up with this. And then you can generate a PDF, right, and then give it to your guys for packaging. Now, and then you can save it, or again, it's going to have quantity, all that stuff at the top, right? I wanted to show this because it's a new tool. We think we released that last month, so I think it'll definitely help. Now the packaging, I see so many questions on packaging, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of details on packaging online. Now, I have a personal goal. I'm gonna, because of so many questions we're getting, and somehow I think some companies want to keep it packaging secret. I don't know why. It's not rocket science. A lot of this stuff is just really basic stuff. It's just hard to understand some of these codes. We're gonna do a lot more with packaging. We maybe even partner with different companies. We might even start selling the different actual items you need for packaging. But we are gonna do a lot more with packaging. I think I'm calling it demystifying packaging. I don't want it to be a secret. I don't want any certain companies to have leverage on packaging. I want everyone to be able to do packaging. So we're gonna create a lot of content around packaging, free content. Yeah. Moving on. So we'll also show you contract officer's info name. Now, another new feature, I know I've promised a bunch of new features, but another new feature in Loocey we're gonna start saying is click to call feature. So anytime you see a phone number now in Loocey, you are gonna see an option to click to call, meaning you can now, if you have a soft phone installed on your computer, and you know, and a lot of the voice over, you know, a lot of the online, you know, phone companies offer the desktop versions that you can install on your machines, and then you can configure it so that anyway, anytime you click on this, that voice over IP VoIP application pops up and dials the number automatically, right? So it's a click to call feature. So we enabled and formatted the numbers in a way so that those apps will understand. So this is also a new feature. You can now do click to call anytime you see a phone number in Loocey, right? There's also a new column. We had a request for one of our customers. I will probably not go into detail about this specific one yet, but you know, there's a specific code, AMSC. Those of you know what those are. You can now search by those as well. And of course, the last column is our approved source cages. Any questions on the data before moving on? Anyone has any questions? I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. So as I explained earlier, Erwin is writing a question, but we have, so when you log in, initially, I see many new features. Thank you, Erwin. There's a lot of new features. Unfortunately, we don't cover every single thing. What I say is be sure to sign up on our Loocey's YouTube channel. We have like we have a marketing team that's focused on basically creating lots of tutorials for you. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's gonna give you a lot of different videos to watch. But so let's look at how filters work. So when you sign up, you're gonna get two system views. We call them, this is all out of queues and simple out of queues. If I click on the simple out of queues, so the all out of queues doesn't have any filters by default. The simple out of queues, just like the name applies, we have some preset filters. So if I click on the filters, you'll see like a lot of stuff we just talked about. Like as a new company, you probably don't have JCP, ISO, all those things. You want to skip those. You want to skip the items that the approved source is also bidding, right? Of course, now you can also add your own filters. Let's say if you want to add a filter for FSC code, you could do like FSC, and of course you can search on any column, right? It's a super flexible search. If I do in, I can enter multiple numbers here. Stephanie joined. Thank you, Jeff. Stephanie for joining. And you can basically enter your codes. Let's say 53, 40. I don't know what numbers I'm choosing, but anyway, I'm gonna hit apply. This is now gonna filter and show me only those FSC codes. Okay. Now what I can do is I can do a save as and call it whatever I want to call it, IFSCs, and save it. Now when you save a search, it basically creates a tab at the top here for you. Now, as I explained before, there's two system views initially, all out of queues, simple out of queues. The other ones are your company saved searches, basically, and once you save it, it's gonna stay here for you with all the predefined filters, right? And going forward, and every time you come here, you're gonna see those filters for pre-saved for you, and only your company can see the ones you saved, right? Any questions on the filters or searching? And you can do the same thing. Let's say, I know some people focus on specific supplier or manufacturer cage codes. I could do another filter. I can say, okay, I now want to save another save as. I'm gonna call it my cages. Save. With cage codes, I'll duplicate. I'm gonna call it 2. With cage codes, there's another filter condition I recommend using, something called contains any. contains any means because our cage codes, if we look at this, it's not a one-to-one match. Sometimes it's more than one, right? That's why it's not exact match. It contains any. So I can put a list of these cages as well. I can maybe this, right? This, put a list here. I hit apply, and now basically, and if as long as I save. I gotta change the column to say proof source cages. And as long as I save my view, it's gonna stay here for me. And now I can see my specific supply cages. Okay. Any other questions before moving on? So I showed you all of the research features, and I think let me see. So NSM pop-up. One thing I want to show, like the NSM pop-up will give you a lot of details about the item, right? It'll give you the last award date, last unit price sold. It will also show you the proof sources, the phone number, usually website, and a lot of times email as well. Now we have a new column, and let me see if as part of the new features, we just haven't had time to fully test this yet, but you can see. I think we're gonna do one more change for it to reflect. But this is also a new column type. Okay, so as I explained before, a proof source doesn't mean necessarily the manufacturer. They could be a distributor, just like you as well, right? Now we have this approved sources list here. If you ever want to do research, you can come here and it's going to show you if a company is a manufacturer or a non-manufacturer, and basically this way if you want to research your suppliers, find people to work with, this will now show you what type of company it is, right? It's also a new column. So moving on, so I'm gonna start showing you the next steps. So we kind of covered some of the basics and unfortunately I don't have time to cover every single feature and searching, but we're gonna start covering some of the CRM stuff. So let's say you want to bid on something, and this is where kind of Loocey helps you with taking out the manual stuff from this process, right? You don't have to like copy manually write down in Excel the stuff and try to track it like that. All you do is check the ones you want to copy, click on the dots and say copy to bidding board, right? Click on copy. And now what this is going to do is basically going to extract out all that information, copy to your bidding board so you can start tracking those items, right? And I'll show you in a second what I mean. So now if I go to my bidding board, I think these are the new ones we just copied over. And now you have all these statuses to keep track of things. Now, these are the default ones. You don't have to stick with these. That's why Loocey is really, I think, flexible platform. You can edit these options, change colors, add new ones, delete whatever you want to do, right? It's super flexible. This is just the default ones we give you, right? You can say, okay, quote request sent or ready to bid, whatever you want to do, right? Now here we have a priority column if you want to make the priorities. The NSN link also works from here. So if I were to click on it, the same pop-up will come up, even though we have copied over our data to our CRM, the solicitation data, it's still linked to the main record in some ways. So you still have access to the NSN. And this link also works. So it'll take you to a specific item. I think this one was closed. We can click on, I think this one was just copied over. It's still open, right? So it's a quick link to that specific DIBBS link. Now we also have assigned to, if you have the multi-user license in Loocey, you will have your list of users. And we have a new feature on this. So our new feature is, let's say I want to create, I'm going to save as, I'm going to create my tasks. And views work similar way. That's when I showed you DLA out of queues. Even in your bidding board, you can create similar views and filter based on whatever column you want to filter, right? Now, if I were to say assign to, of course, I can select my name, and then every time I go to my tasks, I'm going to see my tasks. However, if I have multiple users, let's say, John from my team logs in, if he clicks on my tasks, he's going to see Michael's tasks, right? Which I don't want. I want him to see his own tasks. So how do you do that without creating a bunch of different views, right? So we have a new feature called current user. So it's dynamically gonna know who the logged in user is, and it's gonna show the tasks assigned to the current user. See if I save this. So basically, because this task is assigned to me, it automatically recognized and shows me my own tasks, versus if John logged in and John had tasks assigned to him, if he clicks on my tasks, he's gonna see his own tasks. Make sense? So this is part of a new feature set. Now, the views work similar here. I've created a couple of example ones. You can create views based on whatever columns. If you want to see the items you have won, you can do that. Or, I know someone recently asked me, how do I check my profit? We have columns for and I'll show you that the bit calculation, and then we'll come back to this. But since we're here, I'm going to show you one more new feature. It's not really a new feature, but it's I think new in the sense of calculation. So just like I was saying before, Loocey is a really flexible system. You can create calculated fields, right? So let's say I have these 3 bids, right? And I put my dates, award date here, right? And I put the days I gave in DIBBS when bidding, how many days I need, I will deliver this item by, right? This is what you use for bidding. This tool, the days is a mandatory column. Those of you who are new to DLA, you have to input that when bidding in DIBBS, right? Now, the next 2 columns will automatically calculate and show you the due date and how many days you have left to deliver these items, right? Let's say you gave DLA 60 days to deliver, so it's going to automatically tell you, okay, you have to deliver by June 7th, and you have 51 days left. I know Stefan loved this. Now, all new Loocey users will have these 2 columns in their template. If we don't have it, we have just released a new video. Just go check in our collection. You should see it. But basically, in that video, it shows this feature. Now, if I go to the settings of this column, so it basically has a calculation here. Okay. So in that video on YouTube, if you are an existing user, we copy paste these calculations in the YouTube video description. So all you have to do is it shows you step by step how to create this. Okay. So even though this is not brand new users, calculated columns are not new in Loocey. So we have calculated columns. However, we have come up with this calculation for you. So it basically does a calculation to know when is the delivery date. And same thing, I have a calculation here that's going to show me how many days I have remaining based on my award date and the delivery days I gave in DIBBS. Okay. So it's part of new features. Well, in the new feature, we come up. The new feature is that we came up with the calculation. We also just released a video. So if you go check on our Loocey lessons videos, I think it should be one of the most recent ones. Okay. Moving on. So any questions before moving on to other stuff? Stephanie said couldn't figure out the back. Yeah, the code, even though, so the calculate fields, if you notice here, there's actually links to these are libraries that we have used for calculation. If you go here, you can there's documentation on how to do that. However, I know a lot of you are not coders, so I don't expect that it's easy for you. Eventually, we'll probably create some kind of AI feature that does this for you. But in the meantime, our team will come up with some of the calculations and give it to you. Okay. Now, as part of the CRM features, you have, now if I click on the name, this will pop up on the side. So there's multiple ways to change the data. Right? You can change the data on the table here. You can click on this, on the name, the side panel will pop up, and you can make changes here and do a save. There's also notes tab here. This is where part of the CRM features come. You can start writing notes, hit enter. It's gonna capture the name of the person who made the note, the date and time, and so on. It's just like CRM. Right? Now, the next part is even more fun, I think. Once we go into detailed view of a couple of items, I think these are the new ones we just copied over. You can do control, open new tab, or control click, or even like open from this icon here. I like to do control click, open new tabs, so I can work on multiple things at a time. Now, in the detailed view, you have a few things. First of all, the status on top here. You can quickly change the status if you wanted to. You have your details here. You have the link to NSN to get the pop-up here as well. Right? So it's going to have the same data here. But the cool stuff is here. I think the supplier code section now has their own statuses. So each supplier. So first of all, these suppliers are the approved sources from DLA. When we copied over, it automatically copied over the approved sources in DLA and made them suppliers in our list. If I go to suppliers, I'm gonna see them. Okay, and also linked them to this record. So when I go into the detail of this record here, this solicitation, I'm gonna see them in the detail view. And now what I can do is I can check them and say, you know what? Click on the dots. I have this bulk email sender. Okay, and I know I'm going fast, so feel free to stop me. But if I click on this, and I know we were trying to get this done before this demo today, unfortunately, but there's a new version coming soon. Okay, just hang in there. I know I've promised this for some time, but it's coming. So what does this do? So it basically, for each of those items, if I look at the details here, each one will get their own unique email, right, with their part number. I think this one had the same part number for some reason. Let's change this, right, for instance, so we can do a better demo. So a lot of times they're not the same part number. So the thing is, when you send this code request, so what is this? This is for an email sending your code requests to your suppliers to get your codes back, right? Now, when you send those code requests, you have to format your email in a way that they will understand. Usually they have no idea what NSN is or other stuff. They care about their part number, maybe quantity, and some of the things. So when you send email, or it's still copy paste over in, but it's coming. I know it's been coming for some time, but I'll talk about, he's talking about the send feature, but I'll go over that in a second. So the important part is that each company will get their unique email based on their, see the subject line also that has the part number, will show you the email if we have it in the system, right? This is important because you don't want to send the same random email to all the suppliers, right? You want to send unique emails based on their own part number, right? So see, with a single click, I guess the whole point being, with a single click, Loocey has this automation would draft this email for you, yeah? Now, we have this copy paste feature, so you can copy and use whatever email client you use to send it, copy subject line, copy email. We have this send feature coming soon, okay? And it's taking a while, I know, but we didn't want to send the emails yet just off of our own email system, because we want the suppliers to get emails from your own email. In other words, the way it's gonna work is that when this feature is done, it's really close, by the way. You're gonna be able to connect your company email to Loocey, and then we're gonna use your company email to send these emails. So when the supplier gets the email, it's on your behalf. It comes from your company, so they will not ignore them, they will not spam them, or so on, right? It's really important that these emails properly get them and they look at them, right? So that's why this feature is taking a bit longer, but Just know that when this feature is released, the pricing is going up on Loocey. Okay, this is a large module we're building, the whole email marketing module. It's not a quick thing, but those of you who are existing users will, of course, will be grandfathered in. This, again, like I said, this is going to create the full automation, but in the meantime, you can still copy paste. I think it does still like 70% of the work for you, creating these emails with all the details inputted for you, and all you have to do is basically copy paste and send these emails. Right now, any questions on this? I know we have some new users. Right, so this has its own statuses. You can change as you're sending them. Okay. Now the cool part is once we have country of origin, and this coding column is also really important. Why is that? Because some suppliers or some manufacturers either will not get back to you, or they will give you a too high of a price. Let's say if you want to ignore or skip one, what you want to do is basically, let's say I copy this cage code here, come back to my go-to suppliers. I'm gonna find that supplier, right? And I'm gonna change the status to no skip, or I can select any of this really, but I cannot say no skip. Now what's gonna happen is that in the future, anytime that supplier comes into this list again, I'm gonna see that I have marked them to skip. It's really cool, I think, because you don't want to email every single supplier or every single approved source necessarily, right? You only want to email the ones that'll give you a good price, or they'll give you a code, right? So now that I see this in the future, like every time this company comes in the list, I'm gonna see this flag now, and then I can like uncheck them when sending emails. And if I go to my bulk email sender, I'm only the other two left. Okay. So same thing applies to the email. If the email is not here, as long as I update globally in the supplier list, I update the email. Going forward, the email will be populated. So it's only one-time change in a global supplier list. And same thing here. I have website is also still coming from the global list. Yeah, so you can go to the website if you wanted to. There's some other fields here, but anyway. Moving on to more fun stuff. So product details. So let's say you received a code from this person, this company here. I'm gonna select the company name. So if I go to product details, see, most of the stuff will be pre-filled in for me. Yeah. All I have to do is select a company, and the cage will be populated from my supplier list, right? And why is the cage important? Who can tell me why is the cage important? Okay. So when you're bidding in DIBBS, you need to know the cage, okay? And I personally don't remember any cage codes, so I like copying pasting. So when you're bidding in DIBBS, I would recommend have two monitors. One side you have Loocey open, the other side DIBBS, so you can copy paste stuff, right? Much easier. Now,
Michael?
let's say, yep.
Quick question. So it's pre-filling the PR number, which is I'm assuming a purchase request number.
PR number from yes.
Where's it pre-filling that from? It's just
from the contract. So if I were to go to the DIBBS, if I were to open the contract, actually no, it's also here. There's a purchase request number. See?
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. And sometimes there's more than one, right? And Loocey will know that if there's more than one. Okay, so next thing you do is you enter the price that your supplier gave you. Let's say $120. You enter the margin that they gave you, or actually the margin that you want to make on this product. So now at the top, if you notice, it's going to calculate and show you the cost total, the margin, how much profit you're going to make, what's going to be your bid unit price. This is the most important number because you're going to use this to bid in DIBBS. Now, that's not all. Let's say if you want to track, if you have other expenses like packaging or shipping, you could come to the service details section and can select you know what, I'm paying for packaging, it's costing me $2 each. It's gonna calculate and show you it's $126. But as I always say, as a company, I want to make margin on everything I do. So I want to make 20% margin, or let's say 25% margin on packaging. So now, instead of taking it out of my profit, it's gonna add to the bid unit price, and then show me the average margin. Now we have this last unit price here as well, and again, to stay competitive, you probably want to look at the last unit price that this item was sold. However, I don't just look at this number. You have to open the NSN and see when the last award was for this. Like in this case, this was awarded in 2023, so 2 years has passed, but and a lot of pricing can change in 2 years, right? At a minimum, there's the inflation, but sometimes even more. So just because your bid price seems higher doesn't necessarily mean it's not competitive, because depending on when, if this was awarded like a month ago, then yes, you probably want to stay close to the last award price. But if it's like 2 years, who knows what happened in 2 years, right? Now we're approaching to end of the webinar, and then we'll definitely cover some questions and answers and show you some other new features. But I'm gonna open it up for Q&A if before we get into some of the other features. But so any questions on the process? So basically the process is, like as I showed you, the system tries to minimize basically the time you spend with each step, right? Finding opportunities, copying it to bidding boards, so you minimize data entry, right? You're not manually copying it and saving it or writing it down or whatever, right? And then you have, just like a CRM, you can take notes from here as well. You can keep track of the statuses. You can, again, we're gonna fully automate emails. The way I see emails to work is actually gonna be really fun. The way I want emails to work is not really even going into detail of the item, not really even doing it from here. I think it would be really cool if I were like on the bid list here and I'd say, you know what, I want to select all these and do a send. How much time would that save, you think? So if I could like send 50 or 100 emails in 10 seconds, how much time will that save? So again, going back to our roots of 10xing your productivity, we mean it. It's probably a lot more than 10x, but that's what you're gonna get with Loocey. So I'm gonna open up for Q&A. Any questions I can answer before covering anything else? I'm gonna open up my chat so I see what you write down. Erwin says I'm gonna sign up. Oh, thank you, Erwin. Yeah, I know you've been a good supporter of Loocey, Erwin. So just reach out to me when you have it. I'll still get you the discount. Yeah. Anyone else has any questions?
I have a couple, Michael.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
So the one, like the solicitation I sent you, how long are they going back now? Because I can see some old ones, but it still seems like maybe after 3 months they're getting kicked out. Like the one I sent you, I thought that was within, what is this, April, May? What is this, April? I thought that was in like January, so.
To be honest, I haven't had the chance to look at the one you sent, but let me see if I can find it. So, but no, the system, so it's still goes back to last year. So if it's been let's see, I think this is the number you gave, so it's not finding it here, you said?
Yeah, can you check it real quick?
That's interesting. I'll see why it's missing. Yeah, I know we have sometimes yeah, it's not here. So I'll see what happened with that. So sometimes something's happened with the process. Now we are just so you know, Stefan, I guess everyone else, we are working on improving the import process. So even the 1 day delay will probably eventually go away. and we're gonna have a few checks and balances to make sure we don't miss anything. So it's coming, just in the works.
Okay.
So just please hang in there. In the meantime, you can always manually add it to your board, right? Just go here and add that new item, and then you just have to, I think, enter the NSN here as
Yep.
well, whatever the NSN is.
Yep.
But ideally, you shouldn't do that, right? But yeah, we'll look into it. Any other questions, Stephanie?
Yep. So if you open up the solicitation when you go into the detail page, so can you remake it that it automatically copies over, like if you copy over, so whoever I choose, right, whoever Siemens or whoever who has the lowest bid, can it automatically copy those details over the product details so I don't have to enter that twice?
Well, product detail doesn't know who you want to choose. I guess that's the key, because supplier list can be multiple.
Mm-hmm.
However, and you could get quotes from multiple companies, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you could technically, let's say, all these companies send you quotes, right? Now the system doesn't know who you want to go with, who gave you. I mean, it copies most of the other stuff. I think you just have to select the supplier you want to use for your final bid. Basically, that's all you need to do. And it's a search based, right? So you could search and find, you know. So, but as long as you select it, the rest of it is copied over. The only thing
You
is you
know
just gotta
what?
select which supplier
Yeah,
you
I
want to
think
use.
sometimes my supplier is not in the original list and I'm having to add them, and that's why it's not copying over. Okay, so if I put everything from my new
Okay,
supplier
let
in
me
there, it
show
should
you that
automatically
part. I think
copy over.
yes, but that
That's what I'm
part,
not doing. Okay.
that the other thing we have to do, Stephanie, which might be an offline thing we do. But so if you have your own supplier, if you know like the NSN, let's say, I think we probably have a video on this, but I'll double check. Let's say you add your own supplier, right? If I go into the detailed view of this supplier, I can link them to an inventory item, right? If I link them to the NSN
Oh, gotcha.
and the product, going forward, the system will know this supplier is linked to this NSN, and it will automatically put it in the list for you.
I gotcha.
Got it?
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, some of the advanced features we're not sure yet, but but yeah, it's a lot more smarter. Yeah, any other questions, Stephanie?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. I'll see if there's anyone else with questions.
Hey, Michael, this is Jahan.
Yes, Jahan.
Hey, one issue that I'm coming up with is when I'm going through, I put stuff on my bid board and I start doing the research, getting a quote from the supplier, and eventually I'll go into DIBBS and see that it may have already been awarded. So am I doing something? Should I be doing something prior to that outside of just going into DIBBS?
So I recommend always click on this link. There's the DIBBS RFQ link. So before you spend time on something, like every day when you start, you want to work on this item, just quickly check the latest status.
Gotcha.
Right? And you'll see the latest status.
Okay.
Now, if something gets awarded, let's say this item was awarded, I believe. Let's see. Let's say something is awarded. You can just change the status awarded here or something, right, from your CRM, so you know this was,
Gotcha.
Now, sometimes, unfortunately, it happens between the time you work on it and get back to you, so it's not 100%. But I always say before you spend any time on it, doesn't matter if it's before bidding, after bidding, if you want to get a quote or not. So just do a quick check to see what the latest status is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is there a way for bid to automatically drop off? What do you mean, Stephanie?
For his question, like, is there a way for you all to, so that we wouldn't have to click? Like, if it was awarded, was there a way for it to just essentially kind of or update that it shows that it's not open anymore?
You know, I had that request a couple times this week. So I'm probably gonna put it in our pipeline to automate. The thing is, our system gets dropped off in DIBBS. I mean, in the RFQs page. But if once you copy it over to your CRM, that part becomes then for you to manage. Now, because of the number of requests we've had, maybe it could be like a feature you enable, and if you wanted to automate that, because some people maybe don't want to automate, right? They want to click confirm or double check or something. Because we don't want to kind of necessarily mess with your data after you copy it over. However, I think we can have a feature we can enable it so that we'll do that for you, automatically change the status for you, basically. So this has come up a couple times. I think I'm gonna add it to our pipeline to work on auto update statuses. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had another one.
Yep.
When it comes to, say for example, I have a company that I possibly have a relationship with. How would I, or would I be able to search in Loocey using their cage code outside? I know you got DLA awarded, but is there a way for me to see DLA RFQs through there using that cage code?
Yeah, I think initially I covered that in the initial part. So basically, there's a last column here that says approved source cages.
Oh, okay.
So I think we just create a filter for it. So basically,
Gotcha.
create a filter that's got select approved source cages as the column. You do contains any. It is important because you want to list multiple if you want to do more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And then just put the cage codes, the ones you want to see, and then that's it. Okay. And then you can combine it with other filters. That's the nice part. Combine it with other filters.
Good. All right, cool. Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm gonna show you a couple of other new features, and then we'll wrap it for the day. I know we passed the time, but let's see. So one new feature is we have, if you go to approved sources, the bottom here, you're gonna start seeing a lot more data populated, including address, city, state, zip code. Why is this important? So I know a lot of you are complaining about suppliers that are not giving you good price, or we can't find them. What I recommend is another way to do it is to go after local manufacturers, right? How do you find them? So you come here, approved sources, you create a filter. I'm gonna go to the main tab here, main table. You create a filter. Let's say I wanna say zip code. You can do like I'm in LA, so I'll do, my zip code starts with like 90, right? Now this is gonna find me. There's over 500 manufacturers who are approved sources in DLA, right? And that have that zip code. And then you can either call them, or sometimes if they're close enough, show up at their office and start creating that relationship. Okay. This is really, I think, one of the best ways to get better pricing, to get better relationship if the actual manufacturer or the approved source is local to you. So you can just show up there and at the office and basically get connected with them and ask them, hey, you are a supplier, you are a small business supplier, you want to work with them and get better pricing. Okay, so this new feature is really filling in the zip codes and addresses for you. Now you can use to go find your local manufacturers. Make sense?
Can you go back into your filter so I can see what you type?
So just select zip code.
Oh, starts with
90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because you could do starts with your kind of first couple digits of your zip code or more, up to you, and then find your local manufacturers. Okay. So let's see what else is left in the release list. So we covered current user phone numbers, NSN weight and cube, new columns, approved source addresses. We just covered, calculate delivery date and delivery days remaining. We covered packaging, source, company type, and this was the type. Okay. So the other new features, unfortunately, did not make to the release, but I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show give you quick hints, and I know some people have asked for them. It's gonna go out probably next week. Let me see if I can find. Still sitting on in our local development environment. Okay, this will go out next week, but we have redesigned our menu, so it's gonna give you a lot of features now. So you can drag and drop stuff to reorder stuff. Okay, you can also create different links here for different, like we have all these views here, yeah, on top, profit shipping one. I could create new item from list existing view. Now some of it doesn't work yet. I have to fix some things on our local, but you could also add an external link. So if you wanted to add some other links to the menu, you could. So long story short, this menu is getting a whole redesign, and it's gonna give you a lot of features, including drag and drop features to reorganize it. Maybe hide certain items that you're not using. You'll be able to do that. There's a hide feature. I think it's not in this version, but there's going to be hide feature. You can hide some stuff. You can drag and drop reorganize. You can create external links to them. So you can, if you want to have store some specific links for your business, you can do that as well. So this has there's a major menu change coming next week. That's going to be, I think, our last feature for the day. It's going to have more than, I think, a bunch of different features. So keep an eye on it. Label update. I know it's coming. Label update is so what Stephanie is referring to is we have this label maker. Fortunately, we haven't had the final chance to finalize this, but hopefully by the next video we'll have this. This will basically allow you to print your labels, unit container labels off of Loocey as well without using any other tools. Now, one thing I would recommend is go get a Zebra printer if you don't have it. We are gonna initially make it compatible with Zebra printers, because most of the industry suppliers, they use the Zebra printers. I would say that's going to be probably a requirement to get this to work. I got I got a used one off of eBay. They're not that expensive. Get a used one, a couple $100, and it works really good. So this is for unit containers and external containers. Have you won a contract yet? Is that asking me or? So I have won a couple of contracts, and I told everyone before I'm gonna do a couple of bidding myself, just so I understand the full process. And this is part of it, right? I'm gonna use my own labels to ship my contracts out, just so I make sure that it properly works. If there's any issues, it should happen to me first, right? But I'm gonna follow the label specs of the 129 label specs and all that. So I'll test it out with my own packages first and make sure it's working before I give it to you guys. Any other questions? Yeah, it's gonna be big. Thank you, appreciate it. If there's no other questions, so we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you again for everyone for joining. Really love it that you guys joined these calls. Really appreciate it. So we'll definitely, I'm gonna try and see if I can do another webinar in a week or two, specifically for existing Loocey users. So we'll not cover the basics. We'll kind of focus on Loocey functionality and new features and so on. So I'll probably schedule a separate one for Loocey users in a couple weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Any last minute? I think. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate Stephanie, Juan. I love you guys that you are always supporting us. Yeah, those of you I think who joined early, definitely you see how how much we're improving the software. And like I said, I tell everyone, we have a bunch of people working on Loocey. We're constantly gonna see updates. So we just need your support. Hang in there for some of the stuff. May not be 100% yet, but we'll get there. Okay, guys, thanks again for joining. I'll try to send the recording afterwards as well, and then I'll see you next time. Thank you.